is Monday night, November 28th, 2022. Another brand new Boiler Breakdown podcast coming at you, streaming live on the Boiler Breakdown Facebook page, Twitter account, and YouTube channel. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow, hit the notification bell, do all the above if you haven't already. And if you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, hit subscribe if you haven't. And please give us a rating and a review and a 5-star rating. We'd really appreciate it. A lot of Purdue podcasts popping up out there. Helps us stay atop at the rankings like the Purdue men's basketball team that we're going to get into talking about here in a little bit. I'm Tanner Lee. Got a full house tonight, Coast, Evan Webb, and Andrew Eiler. We all had to be here for this one because this is probably the most joyous, enjoyable Boiler Breakdown episode we've ever done.
How about those freaking Boilers?
What a weekend. My God.
Yeah, I don't know if I can remember a more fun sports weekend that I've had in a while. Let alone, I mean, pretty much my excitement usually revolves around Purdue regardless. I couldn't really care less about some of the sports teams I follow sometimes, but yeah, it's hard to, I mean, especially when basketball and football overlaps. I mean, obviously we can talk about, postseason things that can happen, but when you've got football and basketball happening at the same time, you could have some really great weekends or you could have some really crappy ones. We've also experienced when they overlap. This weekend was pretty good.
Yeah. And usually when it's the overlap, it's basketball's playing insignificant opponents that they're supposed to be beating.
Yep.
So it's really not really like, oh, they beat Central Michigan by 30 like they're supposed to, or they lost to North Florida. And it's really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what a historic weekend. I can't recall a weekend, at least in the regular season, that Purdue's had better than this one. I mean, the basketball team knocks off the then-ranked number 6 team in the country Friday night. That's after they beat a tough West Virginia squad on Thursday night. Then turns around, beats the number 8 ranked team at the time, Duke, the New York Yankees of college basketball, if you will. I mean, they're the first team since the 1968 UCLA team to knock off back-to-back top 10's opponents by at least 18 points. And that team with Lou Alcindor did it in the NCAA tournament, but it was played in Los Angeles. So it was right in their backyard. But yeah, Purdue not only knocked off two good teams, two teams that have been really relevant the last 2 decades, but dominate them for the most part. And then on top of that, the football team not only takes care of their rival and wins the Old Oaken Bucket, but clinches the Big Ten West Championship for the first time in school history and the first Big Ten championship of any kind for the football program since 2000. So
outright, even. Thank you, Cornhuskers.
Yes,
huge Nebraska fans.
Yes, it's wasn't the prettiest journey to get there. A little up and down at times.
It was a rough first half. That was painful to watch.
Yeah, like a lot of Purdue's wins. I mean, they weren't the prettiest. Yeah. They were pretty ugly, but at the end of the day, they got it done. And I looked back and Vegas over/under for Purdue this year 7.5.
Wow.
So Purdue was just over that. Helped my bank account.
2 more games. They could get to 10.
Because 3 weeks ago, I didn't think Purdue was getting there 3 weeks ago. So
first back-to-back 8 wins regular season since 97, 98.
98.
Back-to-back big
regular season 8 wins.
Yeah, regular season.
Yeah. Well, back-to-back Big Ten winning records, I think, since the late 90s.
Seriously?
I'm pretty sure. Because I know that 01 team ended up going like 6-6.
That seems shocking. But I guess if they're not winning 8 games and non-conference only playing 3 games, and usually one of those is Notre Dame, and they didn't beat very often. So,
and I read a stat today that I couldn't believe. The last 2 years, Purdue 7-2 in Big Ten road games.
I saw that. That's wild. I mean, granted, it helps when we're not playing Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State every year, but still,
Yeah,
that's. We've had our struggles with Wisconsin, Minnesota over the years, and I saw that stat. That is crazy.
Yes, it is. Well, let's start talking hoops first, then we'll talk football. I think the football, and rightfully so, in some aspects, the football weekend got overshadowed a little bit by what the basketball team did, just because it was such a surprise. If you would have told me before the season that Purdue, as of today we see in the AP they moved up from 24th to 5th. If you would have told me before the start of the season that Purdue was going to be ranked in the top 10 at any point in the season, I would be like, give me whatever you're on, because there's no way.
So you mean top 5 in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but here we are, and man, this team is fun to watch right now.
Yeah, I kind of texted you guys after the Duke game yesterday that I was just kind of sitting there speechless. I mean, we were all kind of, I think a lot of Purdue fans had the same mindset. Was, the weekend was already, was super fun just with the win over Gonzaga. Getting the bucket, but keeping the bucket, going to the Big Ten championships. It was kind of like, the Duke game was kind of just house money. Obviously you wouldn't have a good showing. But yeah, it was such a dominating performance, and I did not expect that at all. I mean, going into this tournament, I was just hoping just get the West Virginia win, because then you set yourself up to play some good competition, because our non-conference schedule has been, is not good. Doesn't help the fact that Florida State's plummeting towards the center of the earth right now, so that really weekends are non-conference. That was probably one of the best games that we had scheduled so far until this weekend. So it really helps when you can win that first game of any sort of like tournament like that. If you can stay in the winner's bracket at least once, you're going to play some good competition. Then in that third place game, you'll probably play another good team. So it really helped our strength of schedule.
Stay out of staying Portland.
Yeah.
That's why I felt when Purdue beat West Virginia, you said, oh, if they beat Gonzaga, it was like house money. I was like, no, if they beat West Virginia, it was kind of house money. Because then it's like, okay, now you get to play Gonzaga, which you're clearly not going to be favored in. So yeah, whatever, nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. And then after that, okay, Duke or Xavier, it's like, okay, another good opponent either way, right. If they won or lost. And unbelievable how quickly this team has gelled and has been fun to watch.
Going into the tournament, I'm like, if they can go 2-1, sky high. Never in my wildest dreams I think they'd win the thing and beat the opponents they beat and in the fashion they did. But like you said, Andrew, it's just been awesome to see this group gel already, and they're just so enjoyable to watch. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of egos on the team. They make the extra pass even when the extra pass probably isn't needed at times. They hustle. I love the hustle. I love the defense. Seems like the tradition that's been the backbone of Purdue basketball is back this year. Now it'll be interesting going forward. How do these guys handle the success? They went from unranked to 24th to 5th. All of a sudden, you got a bullseye on your back. You're not catching anybody by surprise anymore.
Yeah, but, kind of the darling currently, and it's because of how dominant they looked out west.
But at the same time, I've looked back. Last year's Purdue team was an older team. And one thing about old teams is a lot of times during the years, they don't have anywhere to go up. They're as good as they're going to get. This team's young, so hopefully they're just going to continue to get better as the season goes on.
I kind of just overall, I don't even think Purdue shot the ball all that well. Mm-mm. Like they were decent, like it was like average, but they had so many open threes, especially against Duke in that second half, that they didn't hit.
And the first 3 or 4 were like halfway down.
Yeah, and but Duke did the same thing. Duke didn't hit a single one in the second half, I don't think, but they had a bunch of open looks that were, and a few of those were in and out also. But it's like it's not like Purdue shot the lights out, and I think they were like 45 to 50%, like 48% or something, which is about what they averaged last year, I think. Obviously, they played down low, so high percentage looks there too, but I don't know. I felt like they even didn't. It wasn't like they went like 12 of 16 from 3 one game or something like that and blew somebody out.
Right. They seem to hit the big ones when they really needed it.
Usually it was Braden Smith too,
or Fletcher,
Fletcher or Mason Gillis.
Gillis was big. Nice to see first hit one. I
thought everybody played pretty well over the 3 games. I mean, David Jenkins had a rough game. I think it was against Gonzaga, but he was fine.
I don't even know if I'd call it games. It was just like spurts where he just had a stretch where he turned it over, and but then he also had other. I mean, probably at least once of the 3 games, he had a shot clock beating pull-up jumper basically, where he wiggled past somebody and hits a tough jumper.
We have a comment here on Facebook from Ray Hostetler. True team ball that has brought back the Purdue defense lives here mentality. Truly a fun team to watch on the court. Couldn't agree more there.
Yeah, that the play in the Virginia game or West Virginia game where Braden saved that ball from going out of bounds.
Yeah, and threw it to the other
at first
end.
I was just like, oh, great hustle play. No, we didn't get the ball, but whatever. But then when it went out of bounds on the opposite side, I was like, oh my god, they have a second to get the ball. That was, I don't know if he meant to do that, had the heads up to
and then Fletcher dove and laid out to get it, and I was almost like, oh, thank God he didn't get it, because now they've got a second at the other end of the court. Yeah,
I was like, that was went from their size just a little bit, but that was a huge swing of momentum.
Was that after Edie's block too? Did Edie block? Was that the one that Edie blocked off that Stevenson?
I believe so.
That went to that, and then Smith saved it, so it was Edie's block to the
Yeah, that was one of the when you see, I kind of listened to Brian Newbert's podcast, one of his recaps, can't remember when it was. I think it was the Duke one. Where he talks about last year you could talk about how hard Mason Gillis played. You noticed how hard he was playing out there. This year it's Zach Edey's diving on the floor you're gonna break the damn floor if he keeps diving.
That was really cool to see Edey, but I was also like, I don't know.
Yeah, it takes him a minute to get up too. So
yeah.
If your 7'4" centers get on the floor, everybody else better be getting on the floor. Let's see, there's no excuse.
I think everyone has been on the floor. Him through 6-7 games.
Some beer during the Gonzaga game.
Yeah,
that was. Was that Gonzaga game? Yeah, it was Gonzaga.
Yeah, yes. It was Gonzaga.
Yeah, so it was the guy's beer. But yeah, it was. Yeah, but I feel like all three of those games, there was moments where I was like, "Oh crap! Here the team comes." It's like, can this team handle it? I can just see this team coming back and just whooping us. Especially because West Virginia got within 4 or something like that. When they got the closest out of anybody. And
Duke got it. There was during the second half, I think when it went started the second half, Purdue got it to 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Duke made went on a 10-0 run or something. They got it to 4 or 5, I thought.
Okay, yeah.
And then Purdue got it back to 12 a minute later. But
yeah,
excited. I think they got it, and then they never got within 10 since then.
Yeah, and I was just oh god, here we go. Here's where Duke, here's where it happens. Kind of similar the Ohio State football game in 2018. Where it was you thought here they come, they're making a play, then all of a sudden it's just nope, we're back up 12-13. And then first hits a shot, Gills hits a shot, and it's it's a minute to go. And I'm like, oh my god, we're up 18 points right now. It's just absolutely wild.
I think I saw someone on Twitter when, Purdue was up 16 with 2 minutes to go or something, and the crowd was kind of getting into it. And I think someone on the bench was even pumping up, and I don't know, one of the Purdue other accounts was just nobody say anything yet.
Yep. It was. I don't remember a 4-day stretch as enjoyable watching college basketball as that. I've been smiling since Thursday, not just because of all the food I ate for Thanksgiving, but Purdue's basketball, man, rolling right now, just fun.
Is the tournament played in Portland at all this year? Can we just go there? Because we seem to play pretty good in Portland.
And we do going back in the 2009 NCAA tourney when we beat Northern Iowa and Washington out there in the same building. That Metro building was where we played there. So, let's keep doing that. I don't like these late Pacific time tips, but hey, if they play that good, they can play all the games at 11:30. I don't care.
Yeah, the Gonzaga game ending at 1:30 Eastern time was.
Then I couldn't sleep.
Rough. Oh yeah,
the adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah, I didn't go to bed till 3:30. I was it was. I was absolutely wired. I could not believe that we just beat Gonzaga, which I knew isn't the same Gonzaga team that we've seen the past years, in terms of the guard play. But Tim was a hell of a player. He was a guy that I kind of went into the game not hating. I started to hate him during the game. But then kind of towards the end, I was like, he's just a really good player and he gets away with a lot. But, I guess you get that sometimes. But yeah,
everybody who plays Purdue probably thinks Edey gets away with a lot because when he turns and moves people just because he turns, and they don't call it a lot. And I'm sure other teams that don't see that are like, wow, what are you supposed to do? That's got to be an offensive foul. And they're like, I'm sure he gets away with a lot too.
Or takes those giant steps. It's it's got to be travel, but it's not because he's just steps are so huge.
Yeah, but I think Gonzaga will still be a force come March. I think Duke will too. Duke's very young. They start 4 freshmen. Yeah, they're very talented. They get the best recruits out there, but
I think their class for next year is already. They've got. I think every single recruit they've got is a 5-star, and it's in the top 20 easily.
Yeah. I know Roach got hurt in the first half, but came back and immediately went out. He played the second half, right?
He kept trying to play on that toe, but
he played 37 minutes, so he played okay.
Thad Mooney on Facebook said late tips for the tourney, getting us prepped for the conference expansion. That's true.
Yeah, late tips out in California.
That's true. I still can't wait to see UCLA or USC play in the frozen tundra of the Midwest and football in like November. It's gonna be glorious. Unless I don't know, because I know they won't it's interesting, and I'm getting a little off topic here, but when USC and Notre Dame play, if it's at Notre Dame, it's always in October. And when they play USC at USC, it's always the last game of the season because USC doesn't want to play in South Bend in November. The Big Ten is a lot of their teams are in the Midwest, pretty much all of them. So you can't make that exception, can you?
No. I mean, will they though?
That's a home and home contract negotiation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Conference play, you can't do that.
They better start recruiting in the Midwest a little bit. I mean, get some guys.
It's going to hurt their recruiting because those Southern Cal kids isn't going to want to go there.
I know. But so that's something to keep an eye on here in a couple of years. But Zach Edey, MVP of the tournament. Against Gonzaga, 23.7 boards. Against Duke, 21 points, 12 boards. A beast. You get him going on to his left shoulder, he's almost impossible to start up. Get him to go his right shoulder, not as much, but he's still pretty effective with the left hand.
Some of those long hooks where he's like 3/4 up the lane and he turns, and I was like, how is this a hook shot? You're 10 feet from the basket.
Yeah, it's his passing is what I see the improvement. That's something he wasn't very good at in the past when they double teamed him, and now the double comes, he finds the open guy, and we swing it around. It's almost, I think teams to beat Purdue, I would take my chance with him one-on-one.
Oh yeah,
just let him get what he gets, and then hopefully that way you're not getting beat on threes all day. So
maybe.
I say going into that Gonzaga, what I was worried about was the fact that Timmy's he's a stretch 5, whatever position he is. They're at I think they said that they're like one of the fastest paced offenses in the country. The number one Ken Palm offensive. I was like, I guess we'll see if the big fella can keep up. And he played 30 minutes. It was incredible. I mean, because I think come Big Ten play, a team I think of right off the bat is Illinois. I mean, those guys run. And I've had, Illinois fans in the offseason be like, with this new team, we want to have Kofi slowing him down. We're going to make the big man run. He's not going to be able to keep up. And I'm like, I might want to rethink that because he kept up with Gonzaga pretty easily, dominated.
That and then also that Purdue plays incredibly slow.
Yeah.
Offensively in the half court because there's so many passes and they actually run all these sets to get the post-entry passes. So
I was listening to the
when
Field
Purdue's
of
scoring all the time, then they can't get out and run.
Yeah. I was leading to the Field of 68 podcast today, and Geo Baker was on there. Thank God he's gone, by the way, because he was talking about how he had pretty good success against Purdue. I'm like, yeah, we still hate you. But he was talking about what they did to get E tired at. It was a lot of ball moving and ball screens. And just get him running around on the defensive end, so he is a little tired on offense. I think that's how teams are going to have to attack Purdue.
Yeah, and having a stretch 5, someone who can shoot consistently, because we saw it against Duke where he just sat back and just sagged off and said, all right, if you're gonna shoot, but you couldn't really do that against. Or against Gonzaga, he didn't really guard Timmy all that much. They put him on somebody else, so it'd be interesting to see
And Timmy didn't guard him very often either.
No. I think against Coleman Hawkins from Illinois, Trace Jackson Davis from Indiana, Hunter Dickinson, those guys can. Well, Trace can't.
Trace can't shoot.
No, everybody else can shoot. But it's nice to see who he guards when it comes to Big Ten play.
Right. Well, that's the beauty of having Caleb First and Trey Kaufman-Renn. You can put them in there, go a little smaller if you need to, and Purdue doesn't seem to miss a beat really.
First is 6'10", isn't he?
Yeah,
he is
So he's a 5 on 90% of our teams.
He really, I thought, had a coming out party. I mean, his stats might not blow you away, but he had 11 and 10 yesterday off the bench. He had 10 and 6 against Gonzaga. He makes a lot of hustle plays. A lot of his buckets are garbage buckets. He's getting offensive boards and putting it back.
It's the back cuts off the baseline
Duncan.
From Edey or Smith, and Lawyers had some to him, and
But he's got a good-looking jumper. He hit a few jumpers, hit a 3.
I think he needed 1 because he had a couple earlier, maybe against Marquette, that he had a wide open.
Yeah, Marquette was a bad one.
It was really bad.
Yep. But then he made that block against Marquette, that right block. But Trey Kaufman-Renn, his stats aren't going to blow you away, but every commentator is gushing over him. His footwork
is incredible.
It looks like Trevion Williams, except 60 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
He bullies people down low, and then pivots all over. Yeah,
he's got some good moves too. Like I think he was going against Timmy, I think, one time, and I was like, careful. Like this is a freshman versus a seasoned vet, and I think he scored over him. I was like, okay, he had a nice little move that he kind of shot over it, and I think it was in the second half. But yeah, I'm really impressed with Trey. He's probably one of my favorites just because of what we've heard about him coming in. But I think he could be a really good offensive
He plays extremely hard too. He's on the floor a lot. He's very physical.
Mm-hmm.
He's been called for several offensive fouls, I think, in fairly limited minutes because he's just aggressive. The one thing, kind of back to what you said, about teams are going to guard Edey. I think Gonzaga pulled the chair out on him once.
Yeah.
And then I think Duke did it like really early, like within the first couple minutes of the game. And I was like, oh, like he better. And then they never did it again. And I wondered if, and I don't think they really even tried to again.
Yeah.
But I think that more teams are going to do that because you see it, and that's one thing you can do. And then it's actually, he's done a really good job of not getting in foul trouble, playing 30 minutes a game. I don't think he's ever really had. I've got it up. He had 4 fouls against West Virginia, and he had 4 fouls against Austin Peay. But other than that, he had 1 against Duke and 2 against Gonzaga. So I mean, he's staying really good out of foul trouble.
And he's done a good job of just protecting the rim. I mean, not so much blocking shots like we saw like AJ Hammond or something, but I mean, the fact that we held Duke scoreless the last 7 minutes, I was baffled by that stat.
Yeah,
couldn't believe it.
Yeah, defense both games cranked up big time second half. Not that they played bad in the first half either, but I mean, Gonzaga went a long stretch second half without a bucket. So, that's why they beat Gonzaga by 18 and Duke by 19. I mean, it's just still
really
baffling.
With Gonzaga, it was 20 because they scored in the last second. It was like a last second bucket, but
garbage jumper with a couple seconds left. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of these other guys. Let's talk about the freshmen, the 2 freshmen that start in particular. Braden Smith, 14 points against Gonzaga. Fletcher Lawyer, 14 against Gonzaga. Then Fletcher Lawyer, 18 against Duke yesterday. These guys were 1 and 2 for Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana last year. Knew they were going to be good. Don't think any of us thought they would have the impact on the team right away like they had. If you told me earlier this year that Fletcher Lawyer was going to be throwing in daggers against number 8 Duke on national television, I'd been like, no way. But that's what he was doing yesterday.
You said Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith were starting against Duke. You're like, oh, God, Purdue's going to lose by 30.
Yeah. And then, I mean, these guys are they're dogs. They're one of many on the team, 2 of many on the team.
Is the new Isaac Haas played hockey? Is it going to be? Do you know Braden Smith was not recruited? There are all these Big Ten schools are going to be kicking themselves, not recruiting this guy. Someone on their bench.
Yeah.
They said that every single game.
Yep.
Head coach is going to look down his bench and say, why didn't we recruit him?
He definitely has a little Chris Kramer in him and some Aaron Kraft. I know that's not a popular name amongst Purdue fans, Big Ten fans.
Way better offensively than Aaron Kraft.
Yeah, but I mean, these guys are just ballers, man. And it's they're grown up already. I mean, you would think they're juniors at least already if you didn't know just watching them play.
Listen, the start of that Gonzaga game, you can definitely tell that they were pretty amped up. Everybody was. It was a pretty rocky start, but then they settled in pretty quickly. Because I think we were kind of texting. We're like, oh boy, like this is not going well. Like just don't get blown out here. And then they settled in, and all of a sudden the game's tied. And we took the lead. It's like, holy crap, we just took the lead. Like
and then ran away, and then they got up like 12. Then they went up.
I think once we got the lead against Gonzaga, we never gave it back.
Gonzaga was shell shocked. You could tell they were shocked, especially kind of in their backyard. I mean, they're from Washington, up there in Oregon, Pacific Northwest. The moment's not too big for these guys, and even the redshirt freshmen, like I said, Trey Kaufman-Renn, and good for Waddell, man. I mean, I didn't see that dunk coming yesterday.
Which he had some good. I know he had a dunk in the state championship game his senior year. It was pretty athletic dunk. I think it was even over against like CJ Gunn, who's playing in Indiana right now. But it was like, he had some athleticism. When he dunked, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, just didn't see it coming. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Grady Eifert. I think he's a smart player. Got to make the right play more times than not. And speaking of smart players, I think the smartest guy on the team, basketball IQ wise, I am so confident with the ball in his hands, Ethan Morton.
Yep.
18 assists to 1 turnover in 3 games.
And the 1 turnover happened yesterday against Duke, and it was kind of a bad one, but like it was like the one time I was like, oh, that's the only turnover he's made this whole time. But he is, I mean, he's
was that the one? Did he pass it and someone cut like away right as he was passing?
I think it was early. I think in the first half.
Okay, I'm thinking toward the end of the game. I don't know who that was.
I think it was the first. Yeah, it was early in the first half. But when we were kind of talking the other day, Tana, you said that this is Ethan Morton that we heard so much about coming out of high school because he was highly recruited and he was for a long time. He was, top 50, and then everybody kind of catches up or whatever. But I mean, he had all the offers. He had Ohio State. He had Indiana. He had, all the big boys.
He's Mr. Basketball in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yep. And he's, living up to the hype now. Obviously he had a rough freshman year, just battling with mono, kind of set him back. And then last year, obviously playing behind the guards that we had. But it's time to, his time to shine. It really started to impress me. Like, it was that Marquette game when he got that ball, got fouled. He wanted to get fouled, knocked down the free throws when the other guys weren't hitting him. And then he hasn't really looked back since as kind of the floor general alongside Braden.
Yeah. He's been great. Really everybody. Newman, Gillis, they've been good, even though Gillis seems like he plays a lot, of course, starter minutes, and then not so much in the second half lately. But I don't think that's anything to worry about. But that's the thing. That's the great thing about
that's more of just because you got First who's doing the same thing as what Gillis, but 4 inches taller and longer. And
you got 9 to 10 guy rotation. That's going to happen a lot of times. You got to go with the hot hand, and that's the beauty of it. And it'll be interesting to see if they keep that many of a man rotation. But right now, I'd say they're going to.
I just saw a text from somebody that says that Edey was named Big Ten Player of the Week and Lawyer was Freshman of the Week.
I did see that. Yes, deserving on both parts.
And then Maccabee was Freshman of the
Week. Yep. We'll get to talking about him in a little bit. But Boilers still in action this week. 2 games. ACC Big Ten Challenge, the last one ever. ESPN announced today, which is fine with Purdue fans. We're tired of playing Florida State every year anyways and getting a lazy scheduling. For whatever reason in the past, they don't want to give Purdue the sexy matchup. They got Duke in 08, but never got Carolina. Got Virginia only because it was the rematch of Elite Eight, really, when they were defending national champs. We just always kind of got the middle of the pack teams.
And how does Ohio State get Duke?
They get Duke in North Carolina almost every year.
They had Duke last year.
They get Duke again this year.
Yeah.
Ohio State. Indiana's got North Carolina. Illinois' got North Carolina, Duke multiple times. Of course, Michigan State, Michigan. It's like the same teams. So I'm fine with this thing going away. I don't enjoy ESPN's broadcast very much. I'm glad for both. I'm glad for all sports that Big Ten's going with CBS, NBC, and Fox. I think they do a good job. So I'm fine with this going away. With all that said, Purdue's going down to Tallahassee Saturday night, 7:15 tip. It's a Florida State team.
Wednesday night.
What did I say? Tuesday?
Saturday.
Oh my gosh, Wednesday night tip, 7:15 against a Seminole team that's just not playing good basketball right now.
Got blown out by Nebraska.
Yeah, they've lost to Stetson. They've lost to Nebraska. They've lost to a few other teams.
Purdue better just take care of business and
just take care of business. You're right.
I think I saw somebody say that the team didn't get home till almost 5 a.m. last night, or this morning. So yeah, it's gonna be probably had a long day. Had to go to class today, and just kind of just got a plane tomorrow.
Yep.
Portland to Florida in 72 hours.
Yeah, I'm sure Matt wasn't happy about that when the schedule came out, but it is what it is, and. I don't think it'll be a raucous environment at Florida State, but now that you got the number 5 team in the country coming in, maybe you're going to sell a few more tickets than you initially would have.
1-7. I don't think it's going to do much.
They're a football school anyways, but it will be interesting. It'll be a lot of these young guys' first true road test, so that will be interesting, something to keep an eye on. But then other than that, Purdue starts Big Ten play this week. The Big Ten does those 2 games in December, and Purdue's first Big Ten opponent will be Minnesota at home on Sunday. So feeling good about Purdue's chances to go 2-0 this week, but still got to go out there and get the job done.
Yeah, I haven't really watched. I've watched a little bit of Minnesota. Have not been impressed. They've kind of struggled early.
Are they winning tonight, by the way? I know they're in action against Virginia Tech.
Let's see here. They are losing by 16 with 7:30 to go.
All right. I say the Hokies are going to get the 1-0 lead for the ACC.
Yeah, so. Northwestern plays Pitt at 9 o'clock.
Is this going to get replaced with anything? Or is it going to
I bet Big 10, Big 12 do something. Which I was actually – I was talking to my boss about this because he's an Illinois fan. But I was like, we'll probably do Big 10, Big 12. And I was like, oh, you got Kansas. You got, Baylor. And I was like, you got Texas. I'm like, oh wait, no, Texas is leaving for the SEC. Never mind. I was like, oh crap, Big 12 is not going to be very good.
Well, it will be once they expand, though. They'll get Houston.
Oh, that's right.
Cincinnati.
Right.
They'll get UCF and BYU. So
right.
and maybe Gonzaga. So that could be a really good basketball conference. Football, not so much. I shouldn't say that.
I don't know. Iowa State, Kansas State.
So, but you do lose Oklahoma and Texas in a few years for basketball, but you pick up a lot of pieces. So, I could see that because it sounds like ESPN's got to do a ACC SEC challenge. Whoop-de-doo there. Kentucky and Auburn, Tennessee are pretty good too, but
Arkansas is really good. Arkansas,
Alabama. I mean,
Alabama. Yeah. Okay, all right. I'm gonna shut up now. What am I talking about? But
although Arkansas is currently losing to Troy right now, but we're down a good player though.
Any other thoughts on the hardwood before we flip it over to football?
I was really looking forward to this season. I'm just kind of enjoying the season and just watching some basketball. Make the tournament. We'll see where we're going. I'm like, now I have expectations. But no, I'm just trying to it's still November. As we saw last year, it's kind of same time. Like these wins don't matter if you don't take care of business down the road, and hopefully these wins look good. At the North Carolina win did not look good at the end of the year because they kind of squeaked into the tournament. Obviously, they went on their run, but it was the most sham of a number one preseason team I've seen in a while. But I mean, just take it one game at a time, enjoy the moment, enjoy watching these guys grow, and hopefully, Painter's team typically get better as the season goes on, and with all these young guys, you think I don't know why this team would be any different. It's pretty close to us, and typical Painter team we've probably seen recently. So excited to see what these guys can do come February.
That's one nice thing coming out of the weekend. The guys that were calling for Matt Painter's head and Jeff Brom's head, they got to hide right now because they can't even say anything, either one of them. So, yep. Andrew, any thoughts on final thoughts on basketball before we switch to football?
No, the same thing. Just kind of the same thing like last year, what you said, Webby, where it felt like Purdue kind of peaked around this time. Going forward, they looked so good a year ago, and then calendar turned and they were winning, but it was a lot more close calls and ugly, and they're like, it didn't feel great, even though Purdue was still winning. So hopefully this team stays fun to watch because they played so hard and everybody plays.
No, I can't disagree with either of you guys. I'm sure we'll lose a game or two, or maybe hopefully not more than that we're supposed to win. So.
Real quick, that's what I was thinking. I was like, the Purdue's going to have off-night shooting, but it's like they kind of haven't shot great yet anyway. So they're kind of just average, and as long as they can just stay we're fine. Then there's going to be bad. If Edey has a night where he goes 3 for 15 or something like that, then Purdue might struggle. But
yeah. It's nice to have depth. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Well, before we get talking to football, we got a lot of Big Ten sporting events going on this week. We got the ACC Big Ten Challenge on Wednesday. We got the Big Ten Championship in football on Saturday. We got the Big Ten Opener for basketball on Sunday. That sounds to me 3 opportunities to get some Mad Mushroom. I don't know about you guys. And we got a promo code right now, BREAK5. That's for $5 off any order over $20. If you don't know about Mad Mushroom, well, you should, and you're going to right now. They've been serving Boilermakers since 1993. They're located in the heart of West Lafayette, and they're known for the home of the original cheese sticks. Whenever any of us likes to visit, we like to sit down and have an ice-cold beer while trying out their latest pizza of the month, which you can only get for a few more days, and that is for the month of November. If I can find it, there we are. It is Todd's Honey Sriracha Chicken. It's their house-made honey sriracha sauce, chicken, pineapples, mozzarella cheese, and finished with a chive garnish, starting at just $14. So get 2 of those. That makes $28. You're over $20, and you can use Break5 when ordering online for $5 off. Or if you would rather go in person and sit down like we like to, just tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you, and you can get $5 off your order, over $20 that way as well. And you got to get some cheese sticks no matter what. Get some pizza, get some cheese sticks, get some wings, get all the above. I don't care. You don't feel like cooking Wednesday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, evening-ish, order some Mad Mush. So do that. Like we said, madmushroom.com is where you can order Mad Mushroom. Feed your head. And now I'm hungry because I still haven't ate dinner and it's late. And I wish I lived closer to West Lafayette right now so I could get some mad mushroom. All right, football. I did not know if we were ever going to be able to talk about a Purdue football championship, whether it be outright, divisional, or whatever. And here we are, and I couldn't be more thrilled that we're able to talk about it on the Boiler Breakdown podcast. Purdue finishes their regular season with 8-4 record, 5-3 in the conference. So not even co-champs, outright Big Ten West champs. Wasn't the prettiest journey to get there, but they kept battling through adversity, through ups and downs, through injuries, and at the end of the day got it done. And Lucas Oil, here we come to face the Wolverines.
6-3 in conference. 6-3 in conference. Yeah.
6-3. Did I say 5-3? 6-3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Put some respect.
Yeah, I can't divvy a loss there.
And really, I mean, yeah, never mind. Well, we can talk about it later, but just 8-4, and then just awfully close to like 10-2.
Easily. Could have been on the flip side too. I mean, there was a lot of one-score games.
Could have been 4.
Could have, should have, would have. But at the start of the year, I think if you would have told any Purdue fan, "Hey, you're winning the Big Ten West," and don't even tell them the record, we're taking it, no matter what it is. So.
I mean, I go back to when we got Jeff Brom, especially after the first year where we went 6-6, went bowling. It was like, holy crap! Like we are ahead of schedule. We kind of talked about like, he's going to get us to Indy. He'll definitely get us to Indy. Now it's like a matter of if. It's like how many times is going to get us there. And then obviously, things happen, injuries happen. A global pandemic happened that shortened the season. But I feel like the couple times we've had like the thought, like, okay, this is the year we're going to make it to Indy. The schedule's lined up the way we want it. Something's happened to where it's, obviously we fall flat. We can't beat Wisconsin, can't beat Minnesota, whatever it may be. This year, kind of, we had the same thought, like just, schedule is very favorable, get to Indy, and because this is probably our last chance to do it because of next year's schedule and what we lose. And, and obviously after that, we got, 2 more big boys coming into the conference, and who knows what it'll look like at that point. And then, it kind of like it was out of reach after Iowa, which was such a demoralizing loss, but then turn around, beat Illinois, and then Nebraska does the unthinkable and comes through. And it's like, oh my God, all we have to do is beat IU to go to the Big Ten Championship. And I can't believe it. Like, obviously who knows what's going to happen on Saturday, but like just the fact that we got there, like, is so huge for the program. I mean, I don't care what you say about, obviously the Big Ten West is obviously not what the Big Ten East is, but I mean, still, it's incredible.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares how you got there? I see Twitter, a lot of people crying, oh, it should be Ohio State, Michigan. This is stupid. Get rid of divisions. Well, the divisions are set, and they have been set, and they're going to get changed in 2 years, and it is what it is, and so what?
What was the first year of the Big Ten Championship? Was it when Nebraska and Rutgers joined, or? No,
it was when Maryland and Rutgers joined. When Nebraska joined, it was still Legends of Leaders. So I think it was 2014, I believe.
Okay.
Because you've had the Wisconsin represent the West multiple times, Iowa represent the West,
Northwestern
represent the once, and that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Illinois, Minnesota, and Purdue had never got there. And am I forgetting somebody? Nebraska has never got there since it went East-West.
Yeah,
so
they made it with the leaders and legends then? Because I swear I went to a Nebraska Big Ten game at Lucas Oil.
Yeah, they got killed by
11
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
One
okay.
year.
So
yeah.
And then okay.
And Mr. CEO on YouTube, nobody thinks that, at least not rational people.
He's not wrong.
No, you're not wrong, but a lot of those, talking heads and on Twitter will say differently. But that's all right. They can all say what they want. It is what it is, and Purdue's got a tough task. I mean, Michigan's 16.5-point favorites. They're probably going to be ranked number 2 tomorrow, which I'm hoping they're ranked number 2 because that usually spells well for Purdue historically. Purdue's beat a more number 2 ranked teams than anybody else in college football.
Did they say Brom is 3-0 against the top 3 at Purdue?
Yep. So, it's going to be a tough task. There's going to be tons of maize and blue in attendance at Lucas Oil. And if you're a Purdue fan on the fence about going, I would recommend you try to go if you can. I mean, we don't know when we'll be back or if we'll be back in this position. Yeah. And even if we get smacked Saturday, it should be a fun environment. And even if we get smacked, I don't think we'll get smacked as bad as Iowa did last year, 49-3. At least I hope not. So
I go back to Brown's first game against Louisville. So it's like, we're coming off what was the Hazel era, and it's like, man, I just hope we just don't get blown out. Kind of similar, kind of what we're probably thinking going into the Saturdays, like just don't get blown out. But there's a lot of Purdue fans at Lucas Oil that day, and it was a really fun environment, really fun game. But it was I hope the same. I hope Purdue fans show up because obviously we're a lot closer to Indy than the Wolverines are.
Well, it looks like Mr. CEO is a Michigan fan. He says, prepare for your views to go up. Us Michigan fans are like cockroaches looking for food.
We can handle Tennessee fans. We can handle Michigan fans. I'll just say that.
Yeah, we got some smoke before the Music City Bowl from Tennessee fans, and that didn't turn out so well for Tennessee. So hope it doesn't turn out well for you Michigan fans. But I'm not really getting my hopes up. We're just happy to be in this position. Happy to play Michigan. Haven't played Michigan since 2017.
That which is crazy.
Yeah. Well, it was like we've only played. What was the tweet we saw? It was like we've only played Michigan twice in like the last 3,000 some days. It was something absolutely crazy like that. But it was obviously we play them again next year, so we'll have some back-to-back years. But yeah, it's nice. For Purdue fans, the storyline with Ohio State would have been fun just because of they still remember 2018. Like just that whole aspect of it would have been fun just to kind of see because Ohio State fans they have a little fear of Purdue, especially when it's at Ross-Ade. But we're used to played them last year, so it'd be nice to play those from Ann Arbor again.
Yeah, next year when we go to Ann Arbor at the Big House, that'll be our first trip to the Big House since 2011.
That's wild.
It's just crazy. Just
it was
really
my freshman
crazy.
year.
That was 2 head coaches ago for Purdue.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a fun one. Fox, national television, 7:30, Lucas Oil Saturday night. Gotta be a fun environment. But it's just fun to look back on this season. There's definitely some highs and lows, and even in the Indiana game the other day, we're sitting at 7-3 deficit at halftime, and I'm sitting there shaking my head. But we clicked in second half. Devin Mockbee had a big second half. Charlie Jones had a big second half. Aiden O'Connell got to go in the second half, which prayers up to Aiden O'Connell and his family. Thoughts and prayers with him. It came out late Saturday on the message boards, but Sunday publicly that his older brother, Sean O'Connell, tragically passed away last week. So I couldn't imagine trying to play a football game going through that. And they didn't even know if he was going to play going up to that. And Jeff Brom today in the press conference said that Aiden's not on campus right now. He's with his family, but he will be playing on Saturday. So.
Yeah, Cameron. We kind of you saw him after the game, crying. And at the time, I was like, oh, he's it's obviously emotional because of what he's gone through, from the season, just what this means to Purdue. But then after reading it, you're like, oh, this is a whole different reason why he's emotional on the sideline. And the fact that he even played is incredible, and that he played the way he did. He's a Boilermaker, and we love him for it. And he'll go down as probably some fan favorites, especially with this era of Purdue football.
Mr. CEO said, I said the same thing. Luckily, we avoided the what's-his-name days, the small receiver who killed Ohio State. That would be Rondell Moore, who plays for the Arizona Cardinals. He was a special one. He was a fan favorite, and like you just said, Evan, I know Aiden O'Connell's up there with amongst my favorite Boilers of all time. He's a definition of a Boiler, just a tough guy. He can throw a pick. Doesn't rattle him. He comes back, leads, can lead a game-winning drive. He's led 5 fourth-quarter comebacks, which is most in Purdue history. So, it's he's just prayers and thoughts and prayers with his family. I don't know what else to really say at this point. And Mr. CEO said, I'm not a young buck. I remember the battle with Joe Tiller's teams. Rest in peace. Yes, rest in peace to Joe Tiller. Basketball and grass did have some good battles with Lloyd Carr back in the day with those Michigan teams. So for sure.
I'm really excited to see. Speaking of Tiller, it's like to see who comes to Indy from, especially the Tiller teams. For a long time they didn't have a whole lot to be proud of when it comes to Purdue football. But now that we're back and in terms of on a national stage, it's really cool to see who's gonna which of our favorite players from growing up are gonna be there. Obviously, I think it sounds like Breeze is gonna be there. You'll probably see Sutherland. He usually shows up to games. You'll probably see Stu Schweigert. Roosevelt Colvin lives in Indy, so hopefully the whole Colvin clan will be there. But I'm really anxious to see who all. It's kind of reminding me of when I don't want to bring up a bad memory, but the Louisville trip for the basketball team, the Elite Eight, like how many past players and just Purdue people were there. I hope hope we see Painter there on Saturday. Because I know we have a game on Sunday, but I mean, you wouldn't surprise me if he's there. Just kind of seeing the whole Purdue family would be really fun. That's like kind of my favorite. That's part of what I'm most looking forward to, is just kind of seeing like who shows up, and because it's always kind of a family affair.
Well, this seems to be in the basketball team's success over the weekend too, as bringing some of the, I don't want to call anybody out, but almost fair weather Purdue fans out of the woods. Kind of, seeing people post on social media you don't normally see post and saying things about Purdue. That's what a big fun event like this will do. Like you said, the Elite Eight, NCAA tourney, things like that. So Andrew's gonna have to jump off here. So
You gotta go put my son to bed.
any final thoughts, Andrew, before you join us next week?
Hell of a weekend for Purdue, and now it's just nothing to lose against Michigan on Saturday. So
Let it all hang out.
Night will be fun.
Let it all hang out. Nothing to lose. So
Yep.
All right.
We'll
see you, Andrew.
See you, Andrew.
Yep. So, like you said, yeah, nothing to lose. I mean, Purdue, of course, you want to win the Big Ten championship. You want to go to Pasadena. I can't even believe that's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
We go to Pasadena, but
oh my gosh.
But even if Purdue loses, which let's be honest, more than likely they will, I think they've set themselves up to make a Florida Bowl, which is still great.
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, really before last week, or this past week, I should say, it was like, probably best case scenario was probably Charlotte is probably what we were thinking. Most likely.
Duke's Mayo. Yep.
Yeah. But now it's like, that's probably worst case scenario at this point. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to have to happen. Cause I mean, LSU lost, so that may open up a chance for a Penn State to get, maybe a New Year's Six Bowl, unless LSU's in the SEC championship, right?
Yeah, against Georgia.
So, I mean, I assume they're probably going to get pummeled because Georgia is just playing a different sport right now. There's a Big Ten team sneak in there, and LSU gets knocked down a peg, which obviously elevates a Purdue Big Ten team for some of the other bowls. So that'd be cool. I mean, it's been we've been to the Detroits and some of those the lower level bowls, but it'd be nice to get back to a Florida Bowl for these guys.
Sure would.
Get a chance to get some warm weather for these guys.
Sure would. Mr. CEO on YouTube says he's subscribing. Thank you for that. We really appreciate that. And anybody else watching or listening, if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, go do that and subscribe and hit that like and that notification bell. The likes really help us. YouTube keeps changing their algorithm, which is not good for a lot of podcast channels like us, but we'll get through it. And honestly, Evan, you were talking about Georgia. I think Georgia and Michigan both could lose this weekend and still get in. I do. Yeah,
I think Georgia for sure. Just because obviously they haven't lost yet. Who's the other team you said? Sorry.
Michigan. I think we could beat Michigan. They'd still make the playoff. The way they dominate Ohio State.
Yeah, that's true. I did not see that coming at all. I kind of stopped watching, just not because for any reason, I stopped watching the game. But then I checked back and I was like, oh, Michigan took the lead. And I was like, I checked back and I was like, oh my God, they're going to double them up. So I think you're right. Yeah, with that. Teams like, I think, who else is up there? I mean,
USC and TCU. I think if they both win, I think if USC beats Utah and TCU beats Kansas State, I think they're both in. But if either of those lose, they don't get in.
I think if TCU loses, it probably opens up for. I mean, can you say Alabama? Because they're like fifth right now, which is wild because they've lost 2 games.
Yeah, the rankings will come out tomorrow. It'd be between Alabama and Ohio State. Ohio State's one loss was pretty big deficit to Michigan. Alabama's 2 losses were close games, but Alabama also sneaked one out against Texas in a game they probably should have lost, and sneaked one out against an awful Texas A&M team.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thad Mooney on Facebook said, Florida Bowl would be amazing for the program, but my selfish side would love the hour-and-a-half drive to the Duke Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the fun thing about it wasn't that close for us, but the Music City Bowl in 2018 was, it was, not that far of a drive for a lot of Purdue fans, especially in Indiana. So it was a fun drive to make. But yeah, selfishly, I would, want the Duke's Mayo Bowl too. Mr.
CEO says he thinks Michigan's a lock due to 2 top 8 wins, but they aren't nationally respected like the SEC. Yeah, it just matters more. Supposedly, just matters more. But really looking forward to Saturday. Should be a fun environment. Next week, I put in for my 2 tickets, John Purdue Club. Hopefully, I get them. The deadline for John Purdue Club members is tomorrow, Tuesday at 5 p.m. Then you get notified Wednesday if you got them or not. They're all based on points. So we'll see, because they're going for big bucks on the Ticketmaster, StubHubs, all those sites of the world. So we'll see. But really looking forward to it. It's been a fun season. I'm glad we get 2 more games no matter what. That's going to be cool. Yep. And should be against 2 good opponents. Of course, Michigan's a great opponent, and whoever we get in the bowl game should be a good opponent as well. So, but before we go, let's talk about a little bit about the coaching carousel. Big Ten West got 2 good ones: Matt Rule to Nebraska and Luke Fickell. I think the biggest, splashiest hire from Cincinnati to Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of the Luke Fickell one, just because he's such a good coach.
Very good.
I didn't know what, because I'm trying to remember back when was he a candidate for the Ohio State job before Ryan Day got it, or because
he was their interim in 2011 when they went 7-6 or 6-7, but he did a pretty good job just keeping that group together after the Tressel tattoo scandal. And then Urban got it, and I don't know if they looked at him or not, because he had done well at Cincinnati, but he hadn't got him to the playoff like he did last year. Mm-hmm. Now, if it was opened up after last year, if Ohio State would open up, then I think he could have been the guy. He did turn down Michigan State a couple years ago when Mel Tucker ended up getting it because his wife didn't like East Lansing. But this time, Wisconsin's a better program than Michigan State. He takes it. Be interesting to see what kind of ball what kind of style of ball he wants to play at Wisconsin. I don't think it's going to be a smash mouth as we're used to in Wisconsin. He runs a tough-nosed defense in Cincinnati, but he spreads the ball out more on offense. So it could be different for Wisconsin.
I've got a coworker who's from Wisconsin, is a big Wisconsin football fan. He thinks it's going to be a lot more of a spread offense. So it'll be interesting. It'll be kind of a nice change of pace for watching Wisconsin. So, because it's used to, Wisconsin, Iowa was kind of like, football straight from the 1980s.
Mr. CEO chiming in here again on YouTube. He said, I'll say this, the Big Ten West better get their licks in now, because once Fickell gets Wisconsin whiskey rolling, eyeball emojis. Yeah,
they've already dominated the West, so it's not going to be anything different. Matt Rule is intriguing to me.
Yes, he is.
He was at Baylor right before he went.
Did a real good job at Temple and Baylor. He took over that train wreck of a mess dumpster fire that Bryles left Baylor with. And
that's right.
He went from 1 win to conference champs in 3 years.
Yeah, and then Nebraska, he's going to have all the funding in the world to do whatever he wants.
Best facilities you can get.
I
will say, he didn't do well with Carolina Panthers, but I don't put much stock into that. Hardly any coaches that go from college to NFL do well. Pete Carroll is, but he's outlier. Steve Spurrier did bad. Urban Meyer, train wreck. Saban was average at best.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do.
Or not Brian Kelly. Chip Kelly went and then came back.
That's right. I forgot about the Chipster, because he did really well his first year at the Eagles, and then not so well. And then the Niners, he didn't last long at all. I forgot about that. So a lot more times than not, guys go to pros and don't do very well. So, the Nebraska one, his name had been thrown out there a while. Part of me thought they would stick with Mickey Joseph, but they went out of house, and so did Wisconsin. A lot of people thought they got rid of Chris mid-season to go with Jim Leonard, and they gave him a chance. And I guess finishing 6-6 isn't what they thought was good enough. So.
Should Jeff Braun give Jim Leonard a call to be our defensive coordinator next year?
I would love it. Doubt he'd take it, but I love it. I think he could get a big defensive coordinator job if he wants it. I don't know what his intentions are going to be, but it'll be interesting to see if if I had to say right now, I don't think Purdue makes a defensive coordinator change.
I don't know. I go back and forth. What's Mr. CEO say here?
He says, you guys think the Big Ten has the best coaching with the addition of Fickell and maybe Rule, but I'm not sure about Nebraska being successful.
That's a good question.
It's a pretty loaded conference from top to bottom with coaches.
Yeah, but then you look at SEC and you've got Saban, who's probably worth
I know.
5 coaches in the Big Ten.
I know.
And obviously, who else is in the SEC? I'm blanking.
Kirby Smart. Georgia. You got Jimbo down there getting paid $95 million, but they're 5-7. That's the same as Mel Tucker. There's another big pay.
Brian Kelly. We absolutely despise him. He's done.
Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Hugh Freeze now at Auburn, which would be interesting. Mike Leach at Mississippi State. Heupel pretty good coach so far at Tennessee.
For sure.
Napier, not so hot at Florida. His first year, 6-6. I'm sure
I'd definitely put us up there with a lot of them. Obviously, I mean, the problem is the Big Ten just hasn't really had success against the SEC. They haven't had the success on the big stage against the SEC.
He now says Hugh Freeze Auburn, never mind second best. Yeah, SEC's pretty loaded too. I mean, let's be honest. But yeah, no, the Big Ten's still pretty stacked with coaches. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald has had some bad seasons as of late this year. Not winning a single game in U.S. soil is not a good look, but I don't think they're going to make a change. Now, the guy that may be on the hot seat next year is that guy down in Bloomington, Indiana. He might need to make a bowl game next year, I'm thinking, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. His buyout's so big. I mean, and it's, obviously, if it was basketball, they would do it in a heartbeat because they got the boosters to it. But, is someone going to do that for the football program? I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to buy him out when they did because it was a COVID year, the whole thing about, is this going to, but then, nope, nothing changed there. But will they do football? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on, but I think all Big Ten coaches stay put going into next year.
Is Mel Tucker on the hot seat next year?
That's
paying him a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and they should have been bowl eligible. You blow a 24-7 point lead against Indiana.
Yeah.
That just can't happen. But, yeah, it's a lot of money. And really, when they hired him, I'm like, what are they doing? He can recruit, but he went 5-7 at Colorado. I'm like, this guy's not proven. He was a good defensive coordinator at Georgia, but it'll be interesting. But yeah, just looking back one more time on Purdue season, it's been a fun season and one I think we've all enjoyed for the most part. I mean, it has ups and downs, but I'm going to enjoy the journey in Saturday no matter what happens because next year, like you said, we get a tougher schedule, even a tough non-con schedule. Fresno State at Virginia Tech, who's not what they once were, but still, and Syracuse. And you lose Aiden O'Connell, you lose Charlie Jones, you lose Jalen Graham on defense, you lose Cam Allen on defense.
Corey Trice
on defense. You do get
Devin. We still have the COVID year for some of these guys. So
lose Payne Durham, who's one of Purdue's best tight ends in their history. You do get Devin Mockabee back, which I'm going to go on record saying he will leave Purdue as the best running back we've had since Mike Allstott. I really think that if he stays healthy, I think he's that good at how young he is. The Lions played pretty good this year for the injuries they've had to sustain through. So still a lot to be excited about going forward.
Losing Gus really hurt.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm worried Saturday is just the fact that, I mean, Indiana got through a couple times. They said they had that 3 sacks in the last however many games. They had 3 sacks in the game on Saturday. It was it could have been, receivers not getting open or whatever it was. Right. But that's got me a little worried against the athletes on the Michigan defensive line.
Oh, sure.
But,
I mean, they're ranked, I think, number 2 defense, if I'm not mistaken, overall, and their offense is top 10. I mean, their offense put up a ton of points the other day on Ohio State and ran on down their throats. I don't know the status of Blake Corum. Maybe Mr. CEO can help me there, but which he says Charlie Jones, a.k.a. White Chocolate, is a problem. Charlie is a problem for people, and I think he's really glad he made the jump from Iowa to Purdue because I think it's going to help him play on Sundays next year. But looking forward to it. Like I said, I think we'll see some trick plays. I think we'll see an open playbook. You just got to let it hang out there and have fun and see what happens. Anything can happen. Football is different than MLB or NBA or things like that where it's a best of 5 or best of 3, 5, or 7. It's it's one game. So we've seen upsets happen before, and maybe it'll happen.
What do you think we were uniform wise? It looks like we're going to be the away team, judging by the ESPN app.
I think we go black helmet, white jersey, black pants.
I hope so too. It's my favorite away combo. So,
and I think it would be another unique combo, if I'm not mistaken. So, he is hearing Mr. CEO is hearing Corum's a no go, should be fine. Donovan Edwards is really good. Oh, I know he's really good. I mean, yeah. But
next man up.
I was just curious. And McCarthy's playing really well right now.
Yeah, he is.
So, and Johnson tore up Ohio State in that first half in particular. So they definitely hit some big plays I didn't see them hitting on Saturday. So we will see what happens. Purdue's got to have to win the turnover battle early and definitely have some luck go their way. But, hey, it's sports. We'll see.
Yeah, never know.
Any other final thoughts, Webby, before you do our last sponsor read for the night?
I mean, it's just what a weekend.
Yep.
I mean, I kept thinking back to like how I don't remember what year it was. Was it 09 when we lost the bucket and then lost to Richmond in basketball the same day? It was around that time.
That was my freshman year.
Okay, so 2010.
2010. Yep.
Yeah, so it was just like thinking back to
That was
that
bad.
and just like
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah, but then like now it's just like, man, it was I was stoked that we beat West Virginia because then they got in the winners bracket, and then it was like, okay, let's see what we got against Gonzaga, young team. Let's see what these young bucks can do, and then they go out and put a whooping on them. And then I was like, oh, okay, it's we're gonna play.
And honestly, after that, I was confident going in yesterday. I texted one of my dad's friends, and I said, I think Purdue beats Duke today. So,
really?
Which Mr. CEO said, good job killing Duke also.
As I put on Instagram last night, it was like when Duke loses, America wins. So that's one thing that I had an IU fan message me on Instagram. Was like, it's something we can definitely both agree on is when Duke loses, everybody's happy. But yeah, going into that game was kind of, again, it was house money. Looking at okay, Gonzaga was like, Duke is kind of on a different level, I think, in terms of, recruiting. They basically get anybody they want, what there was like every starter they had last night was ranked in the top 30 coming out of high school, and we didn't have anybody in the top 90. Mm-hmm. And they let a 6-foot point guard from Westfield, Indiana, tear them up. So I was getting pretty heated during the game. I realized how much I didn't realize how much I disliked Duke until that game happened, because we just haven't played them very often, obviously. I was getting, and then like the way the refs were calling the game and the ESPN coverage, obviously they're probably, you can argue Duke and Gonzaga are probably ESPN darlings, probably the two biggest ESPN darlings. You definitely, they were pissed when Gonzaga lost to us because they wanted Duke Gonzaga so badly for that tournament. And the fact that we got to ruin it twice was incredible. And so, Painter's got Shire's number right now.
Yes, he does. It was weird not seeing Coach K on the sidelines.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
It's going to take a while to get used to that. But just like last year with not seeing Roy Williams on North Carolina's sidelines took a little while. So
yeah, because they kept talking about that Kyle Filipowski. And I was like, I know that. Like, I remember like reading, like obviously seeing his name when I follow recruiting pretty closely. And I was like, what was this guy ranked? I went to 247 Sports. I was like, oh, he was second in the country.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But shout out to team effort. As Bill said over and over again, I think every single game we had for us was, we're just a bunch of guys that, aren't playing for the spotlight. Essentially, they're just all playing for one thing, that's to win. I hate the comparisons to last year. I get it. It's what you're going to do every year. You're going to compare it to the last team, especially when you had such high expectations last year and how it ended. I'm not here for the Jaden Ivey slander. He's one of my all-time favorite Purdue player. But it is crazy how much different this team is compared to last year, and just, they're fun to watch. Last year was really fun for me to watch too. Obviously there was a lot of anxiety. I think a lot had to do also with expectations, but just seeing the guys just go out and just ball out has been really, really fun, especially to see them do it against, top tier opponents. Obviously it's one thing against, the Marquettes or the Austin Peay's of the world, but the fact that
don't put Marquette in the same category as Austin Peay.
I know, it was a lesser opponent.
I know what you meant. I know what you meant. Not the blue bloods of college basketball.
Right? Yeah, and the top 10 opponents, but just to see them handle the press. Not only do well, but like not have an issue with it whatsoever. They had a couple instances we were going to have that, but yeah, it was just so much fun.
Yep. Hopefully the basketball team can keep rolling this week, and football team hopefully can shock the world.
Mm-hmm.
But we still got a little under 3 hours left on Monday, on Cyber Monday today. Yep. So if somebody's watching this online and feels like picking up some new attire, where should they get that from, Webby?
You can go where I got this shirt, which is The Shop. The Shop, Roller Crown is brought to you by The Shop. The Shop has been bringing sports and hometown apparel to fans since 2011. From their humble beginnings in garages and basements, you can find them at their two retail stores and online. They make comfortable shirts. It makes me happy, makes you happy, makes everybody happy. The Shop is located in Carmel and Indianapolis, as well as online at theshopindy.com. And if they make the best shirts, period. Super comfortable. Super, they fit really well, super soft. But next time you're shopping online, use promo code BREAKDOWN when you check out, and you get 25% off. I'm sure they've got a great deal going on for Cyber Monday. They have great deals going on all the time, whether it's free shipping, or whether it's, Cyber Monday or just a random day, they'll give out, nice nice codes. And if you use Breakdown, you get 25% off. Great shirts, very affordable. And then if you're not, even if you're a Purdue fan, IU fan, Butler fan, Ball State, Indiana State, or if you're a fan of none of those teams, you got the Pacers, you got the Colts, you've got just really anything Indiana.
Indy 500, they're having a big Indy 500 sale.
That's usually, they've got some great Indy 500 shirts. They've got, Indiana, state parks. They've got, a lot of kind of retro restaurants or, anything that has to do with Indiana and the kind of throwback. They're a great store, great people. They're really fun to work with, and they make great shirts. They're always coming out with new designs, so it's been really fun.
Yes, sir. I'm very comfortable. Very comfortable. I second that. So, all right, Webby. Well, let's close this with Boiler Up, Hammer Down, beat the Seminoles, the Wolverines, and the Golden Gophers.
Absolutely, Boiler Up.